I missed the very beginning. I'm here, rest easy. Everything in the world leaves eventually. Born from the shattered fragments that day, embracing her remains here. When it pierces through the tender skin of the back, who named it wings? Not the scorpion. No. Unshakable, mysterious whispers cannot be made or carved out of their innocence. A statue that only dazzles from the shadow. Are these supposed to be mass-produced? It's always been like this, actually. Tiring, frustrating. I've had enough. If I had to guess, they're probably all the Nikkes Indivilia has devoured over time. Just a bit like the fear of being unable to smile and blessings. The happiness we once expected fleetingly is actually an eternal battle. I mean, considering did someone say this to Indivilia, or did she say this to someone? It could be both. It could be like the queen possibly said this to her, and then she said it to like all the Nikkes she killed. If we're like going under the assumption that like she beheaded Chime, and like I think she cut Anise and Neon like in half. But if like beheading is like her thing, then she could be talking about Nikkes and like in general. Headless Angel is supposed to be like Nikkes. If they're supposed to be like goddesses of victories, like you kind of have like the mental image of like a goddess with like wings. And if she like beheads them, like that's who she's talking to. Like that sounded like it was meant to be. That Daijobu right here, I feel like that's supposed to be Indivilia talking. And Nikke statue is actually headless. Literally. Yeah, literally. Like that voice right there. I feel like it's supposed to be Headless or Indivilia. Headless angel, pathless warrior, as if atoning the sins by remembering the past masterpiece. I'll give the sky all to you. It's always been like this. If you're frustrated, everything will be enough. This is giving me like Anichiro flashbacks, honestly. You know? How like whenever they were warping Anichiro's mind in the corruption, and like it was, I want to help the goddesses. I was like, this is how you help the goddesses. Doing this will help the goddesses. That's the vibes that I'm getting right now with like these lines and the music video. It feels like it feels as though Indivilia is telling the Nikkes that she came across that like this life sucks, you know? This, like, you've, hold on. Like, you've been fighting this battle for so long, right? You've had like all these hopes, but like if you're frustrated, are you tired? Like, you know, like, I'm here. You can rest now. It feels like that's what she's like telling the Nikkes. Mocking, like, you are my special. Similar to special. Special is like really mocking. This feels like it's mocking, but also like this middle part right here when she says, nothing is right. Enlighten doll after assembly. Coward, hurry up and destroy. You want to do that too, don't you? Just a bit like me, right? The fear of being unable to smile and blessings. The happiness we once expected fleetingly is actually an eternal battle. Like, that part right there, it's like, I get hints that she's mocking, but also there's probably like a part of her that genuinely feels like, I'm helping you, you know? You had like, we, not like just you, but like we had these like thoughts that like, if we keep doing this, we would be happy and like it would end. But in reality, like nothing, like it's actually an eternal battle and you're frustrated and it sucks. And like, so I'm helping you. Heretics were once NIKKE, so it fits. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, is that like, now it's probably been long enough, right? To where she isn't what she used to be, right? But I feel like somewhere in there, assuming that the corruption inside of her is similar to how we saw in like Cindy's head, they're using those thoughts and feelings that she once had to fuel her actions now. And like this first part right here, kind of gives me the impression that this first skeleton was Indivilia. Like this was Indivilia. And like you even see the scorpion like crawl. So look, I'm here, rest easy. This could have been the queen and the corruption. Like this is when it took her. Like when she was maybe left to die on the battlefield. Born from shattered fragments that day. Embracing her remains here. When it pierces through the tender skin of the bat, who named it wings. Arms in excruciating pain come together in prayer, remaining within the captured sky. And like that bit right there where we saw the scorpion crawl on her, right? The flowers equals new life. Yeah, like I feel like this right here, this is Indivilia. And who's talking right now is the queen / like corruption. And like this is when she transformed from NIKKE to Rapture. Like she might have been left on the battlefield and like she was the original headless angel, you know? One must persist its course, myths woven from the wind. Unshakable mysterious whispers cannot be made or carved out of pure innocence. A statue that only dazzles when shattered. Pathless, yeah, so like the eye is seeing her new life again as a heretic. As if atoning the sins by remembering the past masterpiece. I'll give the sky all to you. Yeah, I feel like this beginning part, like I said, was whenever the corruption or the queen took her. And that very first I'm here, rest easy, right? Was being told to her. But then the rest of the song is her possibly like repeating those words back to like her victims. And she probably feels as though she's helping them. Because like hold on. There's a distorted world, even though it'll be broken, I will fix it. Okay, right here. You can see scorpions crawling on the bodies, you know? And her saying like, I can fix it, like right before that, again, makes me feel like she, somewhere in her like corruption whispers, she probably thinks that she's helping them. And like she's saving them, similarly to how like she was saved. Like her own journey through as a heretic and her warped perspective on liberating the Nikkes she's killed. Yeah, exactly. And that, honestly, that would put her basically 1-to-1 with Anichiro. Because that's basically what Anichiro's corruption did too. Like, Anichiro's corruption was, you want to help the goddesses, right? Like, you want to help, like, your fellow Nikke. This is how you help them. And so, like, I feel like that's what's going on here, is you want to, like, help your fellow Nikke who are fighting this endless battle. This is how you do it. And then, like, along with the way, like, she just, it kind of morphed into becoming a hunter. And it, like, it getting tainted, you know? Makes sense with how corruption infects and twists the host's intentions. Like, because we've seen that heretics were like ex-Nikkes, whether they left or not. Nikkes like aren't treated very like well. They're not treated well, you know, like at all. And so if heretics have a similar, aren't even seen as human, yeah, like if you're operating under the assumption, right, that heretics are similar to the Eden pilgrims, the Eden pilgrims like don't hate other Nikke. You know, Dorothy's like an exception kind of, but like they don't hate like other Nikke. They don't even like really hate the arc. They hate like the system of it. And so these like some of the heretics could have been similar Nikkes who didn't find their Eden, you know? And instead the queen like got to them first. And so that would like line up with them in a twisted way wanting to help their fellow Nikke versus the arc and everything in it. What is as if atoning the sins? The sentence that carries everything is okay. That's obvious. Okay, so she's obviously saying the sentence that carries everything is, "I'm here, rest easy." You also know that it will be all right, don't you? Does this feeling disappear when you are with others? Hold on, I feel like she's saying something here. The heartbeat you want is throbbing in anticipation. Does this feeling disappear when you are with others? It's always been like this, actually. Tired. The sentence that carries everything. I'm here, rest easy. Kind of like lulling them to death, convincing them that they'll rest easy. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of what's happening here, is while they're in their like dying moments, she's like, that sentence means everything to a person. I'm here, rest easy. Like if you're dying on the battlefield, like that means everything. If you hear someone like tell you that. So like you'll know like it'll be all right. Because like you're hearing that, right? And so she's like, yeah, like lulling them to death or even like corruption by being that voice, the same way the queen possibly was that voice to her. And how when she heard that first, I'm here, rest easy, you know? Like, again, it's her like mimicking what was done to her. When she was like in death's door and she heard this voice tell her that, right? The pain like went away and like everything would be okay. And so she's like, again, like repeating that to her victims. Like she's being that voice to them. Repeating the process in her own twisted way. Yeah. She was poisoned and now she spreads it. And you know what's crazy? Is that that's basically what she does as a scorpion with her alpha particles. Oh my gosh, the layers, the layers, the layers on my queen Indivilia. Another theory is that others selfishly sacrificed themselves for Indy, and the corruption twisted her view of their sacrifice, probably mocking Indy that being selfless is a worthless endeavor. I'm not 100% sure about that theory. Probably mocking Indy that being selfless is a worthless endeavor. It feels a little bit more like she came to that conclusion herself, just from like the nature of battle. Like, we keep fighting and fighting and it never ends. And if anything, so like another thing too, is if we're under the impression that like this is possibly Indivilia too, this right here, if this is supposed to be like a representation of Indivilia, this reminds me of a mass-produced Rapi. And this gives me the impression that pre-Heretic Indivilia was possibly a mass-produced model. And if she was, that would put all of this into like an even kind of like worse perspective of, you think this war is tough, you know? As a SSR NIKKE or whatever, imagine being a mass produce. Imagine, like, if you're a mass produce, then your ass is definitely going to end up in a situation like this, just left on the ground to die. And so, like, all of these other like mass produced NIKKEs behind her being like victims, you know? It puts that perspective of you fight and you fight and you fight and nothing's ever going to get better. Like this, it seems like this war, this eternal battle never seems like it's going to end, you know? And who would know that feeling better than like a mass produced NIKKE? Would be crazy to have a mass-produced Heretic. Well, again, like the fact that we've confirmed that in order to become a Heretic, they go through a similar transformation as going from human to NIKKE, right? At least from where I am in Nihilister's like Bond story, they never really specify like what kind of NIKKE you have to be, you know? So like, yeah, it could be like a mass-produced NIKKE goes through a like similar transformation of what do you desire, and then that becomes like a Heretic. One theory I saw was Indy was being a selfless, mass-produced, a brave hero, but still just wearing the same face. She was betrayed and corrupted. The queen then gave her the ability to be an individual. I don't see her as being betrayed by anyone, like exactly. But like at the same time, you could see it as betrayal, like as a, just by the fact that like the nature of a mass-produced NIKKE, right? It's a betrayal that they get thrown into these wars with no care, and yeah, like getting left behind forgotten to die, and like no one again, like no one cares. Mass produced would also explain why she fails a lot. That's sad. Stop. Like how Rapi churned from an MP to an individual model. Yeah, like the more I like noodle on it, the more it feels like Indivilia was like a mass produced who became a heretic and was quote unquote saved by the queen, and now in her very twisted way is trying to save her fellow Nikkes from like an endless war. But you know, it multiple things got corrupted along the way. I thought Rapi turned into an individual model because Red Hood, how Chatterbox himself said he was saved by the queen. Exactly. Exactly. And that's the vibe I'm getting right here. Is if Chatterbox is like a clue as to some people, some of them actually like thinking that they've been saved versus not, she's like replicating that. Hmm. 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 It's fascinating because I think like after Old Tales, that was one of my thoughts was how like so we see like through Cinderella and Ichiro what it's like for a Nikke to get like forcefully taken as a heretic, but then what other cases are there? You know, what other cases could there possibly be in their mentals and their mentalities between like the heretics and how they feel about like their quote unquote corruption, right? And if she sees herself as like getting saved, it's like, damn, yeah, that kind of checks out, especially as a mass produced. No one cares about mass produced models. Um, Not to mention the fact that like we see it in Nikke, right? We see it in Nikke in how Nikke like humans become Nikke for like all kinds of different reasons. They don't all like have virtuous goddess saving like reasons. So it wouldn't be a surprise if like also amongst the heretics, some of them possibly don't see it as they got taken. Like they got it was forced upon them. Like this could be like a better life for them. Of course, it seems like the nature of corruption still like morphs their brains and like twists their intentions. But like that original reasoning. Hmm. Hmm. One thing that I always wondered is that if there is such a thing like the heretic personality being controlled for so long, it can completely consume the original self. Yeah, I feel like that's potentially what we see glimpses of with like Indivilia and Nihilister was if they've been a heretic for like so long, then if we're going like based on like Indivilia as our example, then she went from someone who feels like she's saving them to someone who not only feels like she's saving them, but it's been twisted to the point to where she now finds pleasure and joy in the hunt. And that's kind of a far cry from how she started off. It didn't really seem to change in the way as Cinderella after getting hit with Vop House. But like that's the thing though. Cinderella wasn't really an Ichiro for that long. Potentially. I'm not sure how long Nihilister was actually a heretic. But I think like that's the point. Is if we're seeing like say like the inside of Nihilister's brain as like a similar state as as Enichiro's, what would have happened to Cinderella had she not been able to like break that mirror, right? We saw her consciousness was like slowly fading inside that like mirror world. Very long. She was chasing Grave way back in time trying to capture Cindy. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. It did show us that volcano bit in the map. So yeah, like if we're using the mirror like example, then again, we saw what was happening to Cinderella's mental and how she was like fading away over like that little time. If Nihilister went through like a similar experience, or any of them went through a similar experience, then like yeah, the Vop House wouldn't change them much, because what really is left of their quote unquote original personality, like it's probably gone, honestly. Aside from like, you know, the base desires. Absolute Maker. I like how immediately we already see a similarity between the two songs. Hold on. That right there. Watch me as I manifest my splendid creation. And back in Headless Angel, what was right here? Headless Angel, pathless warrior, as if atoning the sins by remembering the past masterpiece. As if atoning the sins by remembering your past masterpiece. And in this song, she's saying, watch me as I manifest my splendid creation. Like, I love that. Also, Lily, thank you for the gift sub. Coco, I hope you enjoy your badges and emotes. Absolute Maker makes sense for Indivilia since she's also material H, which can just build tons of stuff. Yeah, no, again, like taking that into account too, I just really like the two. As if atoning the sins by remembering the past masterpiece. Are you atoning for your sins by constantly trying to build things? Stop. These songs actually go super, super good together. You can't fin me now. I will hunt you down. This right here. With the hunter. The hunter bit. And then the next line. Conquer and claim everything that shines bright. And there was a line. Right here. I'm here, rest easy. The sentence that carries everything. Your eyes are sparkling. You also know that it will be alright, don't you? Conquer and claim everything that shines bright. And she refers to your eyes are sparkling. I love that. I love that. Oh, man. That's so good. Video is making my mind expand and my love for NIKKE grow. Hold on. Conquer and claim everything that shines bright. For I will give it a new life. Perfection. Give your life up. Yeah, I love how they're like kind of reflections of each other. I love how they're kind of reflections of each other. Oh my gosh, stop. This is so good. This is so good. Like the fact that as y'all have mentioned, she's also material H, which is like causes corruption. And she's like conquer and claim everything that shines bright, for I will give it a new life. Perfection. And then in this one, when she goes, I'm here, rest easy. Your eyes are sparkling. You also know that it will be all right. It's like we're seeing the two sides of like, this is more kind of like internal and this is external, right? For I will give it a new life, perfection. And then her saying like, rest easy now. Like it'll be all right before she kills them. And then you see all these red eyes, all of these seemingly corrupted, mass-produced that she's saving, right? Like I'll make you perfect in this corruption. Yeah. I'll be taking them out.
You'll become another sacrifice for me. Give birth to a wonderful creation. Glorious, everything belongs to me. Don't you even dare to run away from me. I'll get you. I will give you
Yeah, and then that bit going back to the whole the hunting scene in Headless Angel. And she could like, again, she could genuinely like feel that. She can genuinely feel like she means that. Like, I'll give you a new life. It's this time around, it's a new beginning. Excuse me? What the hell? I don't know if you heard my cats fighting. Hold on. Because that was a good part. This time around, it's a new beginning. I will create a new form of Genesis, which is basically like beginning. You will turn into something great. Like this entire part right here just is replicating this part. Replicating what was done to her. How born from the shattered fragments that day, embracing her remains here. Like, she became, when it pierces through the tender skin of the back, who named it Wings. I really like that. It kind of feels as though like the queen, in giving her a new form, a new beginning, is the one who gave her quote unquote wings. And so like that's again what she's doing. She's giving those give your life up and become mine now, for I am the sublime creator. This is what it's like. This time around, it's a new beginning. The day has come for a new ideal, for you will be turned into something great. Because that's what happened to her. Oh my god. The idea of her, like, going, like, perhaps, the idea of her supposedly, potentially coming from, like, a mass-produced model, having been saved from the queen and become a heretic, and then saving, you know, her fellow Nikkes from battle. Just that layering of character. It's like, it's so good. It's so good. And maybe it's because of the fact that, like, I have so many questions about the heretics in terms of, like, why they became heretics. And Indivilia is, like, the first one that I've seen, like, with this kind of layering. I'm just like,